Hey there, I'm Cornelis, and this is Your Band is a Business, the place where I discuss the day-to-day realities of being an independent musician. Today, I'm in conversation with my friend Shell, who is an independent artist who releases her own music, releases music videos, and is actively performing live around London. Welcome, Shell.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for having me.
No worries.
Um,
So, we are going to have a chat about, yeah, like I said, the day-to-day realities of being an independent musician, what it's all about, and people can learn from your experiences, get inspired by your experiences. So first of all, tell us a bit about yourself. What's your background? How did you get into music?
okay, so I do I've been singing since I was a kid, really. Um, I am originally from Germany and I moved over to the UK back in when was it, 2018, to like try and pursue music. Um, yeah, I do country dream pop, that's what I call it, and I
How
write
did you
songs.
how did you first pick up an instrument? What was that process? Does anyone in your family play an instrument or?
Yeah, so when I was little, like really little, my mom used to play accordion, so that was like kind of the first introduction to like music instruments because she was like singing and playing to me. But then she stopped and then yeah, I picked up the guitar when I was like about 10 years old and
Okay.
then always added instruments along the way, really.
And when did you start writing your own music?
Um, Started writing my own music when I was maybe 14, 15 the first time around. Yeah.
Okay, so pretty soon.
Yeah.
And when what inspired you to take it more seriously, as it were, to actually decide that you wanted to move to the UK to pursue it more seriously?
Um, A fun fact, the first time when I moved to the UK, I wasn't really pursuing music right away. I was being in a pair back then.
Okay.
But there was this one family that I used to be a pair for, and I would like play music in my room, my original songs and covers and just like play for myself. And they were kind of the reason who were like, why don't you go to like an open mic? And they first introduced me to that. So they helped me find like my first open mics back in 2019.
Wow.
So
Great.
that's how I got
Cool.
into it.
Nice. And you've been flying
Yeah.
ever since.
I did.
Yeah.
I do.
And what are the artists that kind of inspire you or influence you in your music?
Big time Taylor Swift. Casey Musgraves. Um, Let me think.
Was Taylor Swift
Probably.
one of the like first influences that really prompted you, or were you already writing songs and then you became a fan of
Um,
Taylor Swift?
Funny, I wasn't writing songs when I discovered Taylor Swift the first time around. I was just like I just loved the way she wrote and it was like so relatable to me.
Mm.
And the more I listened, like I always played her songs like, day in, day out. Um And at some point I was like, maybe I want to try this as well and see how I get on because yeah, I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing the first time I was trying to write a song.
Yeah.
Because at first it was all a bit weird and poetic, but poetry because I'm also German, so it didn't really make sense right away. So yeah.
Do,
Um
do you write songs in German as well as English?
I have been starting to write in German. I have like one song or maybe two, but
Okay.
I've never performed them anywhere. No,
Right,
not
right,
yet.
right, right. So you want to go after the German market as well, maybe.
I would love to because yeah, recently I've been like singing that one German song that I have a bit much. So
Yeah.
maybe sooner or later I will give it a go. Yeah.
Interesting. So when it comes to writing songs, how do you go about it? I mean, the classic questions was it lyrics first or music first?
Mm. tricky because sometimes I just have a melody in my head and I just hum that, and then from then on I start like playing the melody that I hummed, trying to get out of my head onto an instrument and then write the song.
Hmm.
But other times I have the lyrics first and then I'm like trying to sing the lyrics, and then I'm trying to get the guitar or whatever instrument I'm using to like, yeah,
And do you have a
bring it to
note?
song.
Do you have a notebook with lyric ideas, or or in your phone, or is it all in your head, in your memory?
No, it's not in my memory. I mean, I would say the majority of my stuff is on my phone. And then there's like the odd notebook that I carry around where I write songs in. Yeah.
Mm-mm-mm. And when it comes to kind of building out a song in terms of the chords that you're using, is it are you just going by feel in terms of, okay, this chord sounds nice after this chord? Do you use any knowledge of theory where you think, okay, I'm gonna use a major five here, or is that a consideration at all?
Um, no, I wouldn't say I use theory much because I'm like, I don't know. I've not ever been really much into theory. I've always been more playing by ear.
Yeah.
So I'd say maybe I overuse the chords that I use sometimes. But I go more by like the feeling of like however it sounds in my head, and I try to like get it onto the chords for some reason. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And when it again, I'm sure it differs, but do you find that that process happens relatively quickly in a couple of days, or can it take weeks and months before something is starts from a general idea and feeling towards a finished song?
Um, it depends. Like there has been times when I just spit it out. Like the song just came out of me and I recorded it onto a voice note, and then I'm like, yeah, the song's done. Um, but sometimes I do that and I have to like, restructure, go over the lyrics again, and then just like start like writing a second, third, fifth, fourth, fifth time, whatever. Like sometimes
Okay.
it takes longer.
So
Um,
you will rewrite stuff.
yeah.
Okay. And so do you when it comes to the number of songs, do you write like 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 songs and then keep the best ones, or are you more kind of person that works on a couple and tries to make them as good as you can? How does that work exactly for you?
Um, um, like I write a lot of songs, like because for the majority of like songwriting for me, it's like just trying to process and trying to get like whatever's going on in my life to get it right and to understand it for myself.
Hmm.
And that's why I write songs. But yeah, I don't know. Sometimes there's like nights where I write like five songs, and then
Wow.
there's like weeks when I write nothing.
Wow.
And I don't know. I can't really say like it's not like I'm trying really hard to like write songs. They just come or they don't.
Okay. So it's as you said, it's like it's instigated by wanting to process
Hmm.
things that are happening in your life, and
Yeah.
that is kind of the initial impetus to do something.
Yeah,
Okay, that's
definitely.
interesting. That's interesting. Because some people, for example, they well, and I'm sure it happens for you sometimes, is that where it's a particular sound or melody or chord that is kind of
Hmm.
the first thing that like instigate things rather than an experience or topic or something like that.
Well, I mean, I've had one of those songs actually where I've written like some like guitar hard, I don't know, melody bit where I initially had like a wholly different idea about the whole thing. And then I took it to a friend and he kind of translated it into from like guitar to piano. And
Yeah.
then I took that and went to the studio one time and it went like completely different. And then like the topic of the song was like different to what I initially wrote.
Okay.
or thought I was writing about. So I guess that happens as well
Mm.
sometimes.
So, do you co-write often,
Um,
or have you
I'd
done it?
say I'd say I mean I've done it a couple times actually. Um, yeah, I can't say how much, but quite a lot actually, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. And how's that experience been? Have good results come from it? Are there
Yes.
songs that you like perform and release right now that were co-written?
Um, so like one of the songs I've co-written with my good friend Jazz that is called Suffocating. Just gonna leak it right now.
Okay. Is it not out
Um,
yet?
no, it's not out yet, but at some point I want to release it because I love the song. Yeah, so that was one of the many co-writes where I was like, yeah, that song, it stayed so long in like a vault of mine. And last year we kind of picked that song out because I felt like I was right. Um, but yeah, no, what was the initial question? Oh my God.
Oh, just
Um,
about, what if any songs came out of co-writing sessions, basically.
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Because we
Because I
we
feel like
we
there's always something to write about, right?
yeah. Well, we tried it once, and that was the first time I ever tried it, and
That's true.
it's like I found I didn't know what to do basically, because it's one of those things where I'm not really aware of how it happens.
Hmm.
It's just I'm sitting on the sofa and I pick up the guitar or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I zone out, and then at some point something comes out, but I don't know if that happens within 10 minutes or 3 hours or 5 hours. So when we tried to co-write, it was a struggle for me because I was thinking like, what happens? How does it happen?
Hmm.
So I found it difficult. And that was the only time I've ever tried it. And maybe I will try it again in the future. But I need to think about how to do it. Like, when you do the co-writing, you just like, how did it work when it worked for you? Like, did you say, oh, here's an idea, and the other person said, oh, let's try this, or
Hmm.
how did it work?
Mm, I think that there's been like times when I've written with people and I went in with an idea and I was like, I have this and can we do something with that? Which is always good to have, I feel like. Because if you go on a co-write and you have absolutely nothing, then you're literally, worst case could be you just sit around for hours and nothing happens. And like none of you is like open enough
Yeah,
um or then the other times when you go in a co-write and you have nothing, it can also just happen that you pick up something in conversation and all of a sudden like I don't know, it just comes out of nowhere and you're like, wow, would have not
yeah.
thought that this song is going to come out even though like none of us had an idea. But yeah.
Mm,
But I think it's like when you're in songwriting sessions, co-writing sessions, it's like important to talk with the other person and like be as open as you can because yeah, sometimes it's like in those little conversations, like little things that you can just pick out and be like, huh, wait a minute, that's interesting. And then um I've had that before as well. We had conversations and then I was like, oh, you mentioned this. Let me just look up because I remember like I wrote something like I don't know how many months ago and then we picked
mm.
it up and then we just like had a look at it and then we just like jammed around and then at some point it just made a song.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
yeah.
interesting because I guess I'm more introspective in a way where I'm I'm noodling away on the guitar,
Yeah.
9 times out of 10. And so it could be, as I said earlier, it could be that I find something within 5 minutes. It could be that I'm sitting there for 3 hours and just noodling and nothing happens. But I don't,
Mm,
but I don't do that. I don't usually do that with the intent to write a song. It's just
mm,
I'm always noodling or practicing something or learning somebody else's song. And in the process of doing that every day,
yeah.
once every 2 to 3 months, I'll notice something. I'll hear something. Oh, that
Mm,
sounds good. And then in that moment, I'll be like, okay, let's develop this idea. But
yeah.
it's never happened where I sat down and right, I'm gonna write some music. That's never happened. So maybe that's why I struggled like during that time to think of something.
Mm,
But maybe if I try it again, I'll see if I can have some ideas to that and do it that way. And then maybe, but even then, it would be. I don't think I could say to somebody, right, next week we're going to meet up, and so then I have
yeah.
a few days to come up with ideas. I think that would be difficult for me. But if over the course of several months I collected a couple of ideas and then somebody
Mm,
said, "Oh, do you have something?" then I could say yeah. But
yeah.
that's not like yeah, I don't have that in me right now to because I know in some genres or some kind industries there's people that do like it's like they're 9 to 5, it's like Monday to
Yeah.
Friday they turn up and there's like two or three people and they just do that 8 hours a day, which is it's interesting. I don't know if that would be it'd be interesting to try. I don't know if I could do it or if the thing is, I feel like I would just be sitting there for 8 hours a day and like
Mm,
nothing would come. So I don't know how I would deal with that. But yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. And in terms of like so you've recorded songs that you've co-written
yeah. I did.
and they've already so co-written songs have been released already.
No, no, actually not. I have not been releasing them yet.
But
Like
this,
I
but it will happen now.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely want them to come out as soon as
And
possible.
and in terms of the practicalities, have you like registered those songs like on the PRS with both,
Yeah.
yourself and the other person? So that's done. And then
Mm.
when it comes to uploading as well, is that possible yet to like put in multiple writers for a song?
Like when you upload your song to
Y-
DistroKid, you mean?
Yeah, yeah,
Or
yeah.
like a distributor of your choice?
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much because you can put in like the writers' names and
Yeah.
then they will get like yeah, they will get the credit, which
Nice,
is
nice.
important.
Yeah, yeah. So I assume that then on their end they'll get a notification of some kind that'll
Mm,
say, "Oh, did you co-write this song?" You can say yes. I assume that's the case. Although I've seen, I don't know if it's still happening, but there was a period of time where people were somehow adding famous artists as
mm-hmm.
co-writers to their songs
Oh.
when they, hadn't done anything like that. And I think that there was some like
But
loophole or glitch that they've since
but
fixed.
do you not think that maybe that could be because they maybe sampled some of their songs in their song?
Maybe,
Because
maybe.
that's the credit that you have to give them, kind of.
Right. Yeah, I mean, but I think some people were doing it fake as well, because
Oh, I see. Mm.
what was happening is that in your Discover Weekly, basically artists were popping up
Yeah.
because Kanye West is on my song. Like there's not like the Kanye West is not on your song. He didn't sample his song, but somehow you've added him. So people were like hearing some other music.
Hmm.
So there was definitely some kind of glitch going on. Where I assume it just was that people could just add other people and the other person didn't have to approve it. So I assume that that's been fixed now. Um,
I hope so, because
yeah,
that sounds
yeah,
kind of crazy.
yeah, yeah. So in terms of like your release strategy, promo strategy, all
Hmm.
that kind of stuff, because you released an EP and then you released a couple of singles.
Yeah.
And how did you go about promoting those if you did? And has that process changed at all over the time that you've been doing it?
Um, it has changed. I mean, we have TikTok right now, right? You can just
Yeah.
post your songs whenever,
Yeah.
like over just a random video view, really, these days. Um, but
Do
yeah, I
you do
don't
you have
know.
an email list or do you email or message DM all your friends or what do you do on the
See, the email list, that's something I have recently only discovered. So like I'm still trying to work up my email list. But
yeah.
yeah.
But
Um,
you DM everybody
yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
when in the lead up. Do you do any like create any like special graphics or anything like banners or anything like that?
I'm not really good with that stuff, so no, I haven't, to be
Okay.
honest.
So
Yeah.
most of your focus is on the social media on the day, I
Yeah.
guess. TikTok. So you mentioned TikToks. So you're active on there? How often are you posting? What kind of stuff do you put up
Um,
in there?
yeah, I don't like about TikTok, like I have been like posting like covers in between and then original songs, yeah. Like a
Okay.
mix of both.
And do you get a lot of traction for the cover stuff?
I have.
Okay.
Um, yeah, the covers help because then, maybe the right kind of crowds, audiences will see your stuff and then discover your original songs, which is hopefully the way you want people to discover you
Yeah, yeah,
through their favorite artists, and which is also my favorite artists. And then, yeah,
definitely, definitely. So I
yeah,
assume you've done some Taylor Swift covers
yeah.
and do you do how long are the clips that you upload? Is it like the whole chorus or part of a chorus or
Um, yeah, sometimes usually the chorus or maybe like a bit of a verse. Yeah.
okay. And do you get like you get many reactions in the and comments?
Yeah, I've had like some people who literally just discovered me because of the covers.
Wow.
And they have been commenting, yeah. So
Right.
like it works. It's quite nice.
And have you ever had anything negative, like any negative comments?
Yes, I did. I have
Right.
to say it did. It did happen where I was like, yeah.
And are you okay with that kind of stuff, or does it affect you at all?
To be honest, it does affect me, but at the same time, um, I feel like at this point it's better to have some negative comments for the algorithm and just to like be
Yeah,
discovered
yeah, yeah,
than to have none at the end of the day
yeah, yeah.
because everything's down to the algorithm.
Yeah, that's a good positive way. Like, yeah, I didn't want to don't want to bring up something too negative, but I think
Yeah.
a lot of people are scared to
Yeah.
do music in general, not let alone post stuff online. Some people are just afraid simply to perform in public because they're
Hmm.
afraid of like the negativity, and the reality is there's always going to be negativity.
Hmm.
And you have to learn to deal with it and people will have different ways of dealing with it. So, you can shut off the comments
Yeah.
or you can reply to them or you can ignore them or and then there's different emotional ways of coping with it like some people I don't know always saw it the way that you do in terms of well any reaction is good like if I
Hmm.
know for myself that I don't suck because when I started I wasn't great and so people if
Yeah.
somebody shouted at me in public, "Oh, you suck," I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not that great. So that was fine. And then I got to the point where, you know what, I'm not bad. I'm not terrible.
Hmm.
There's people that are a lot worse than me, sorry to say.
Yeah.
So that then it became more of a water off a duck's back where it's like, okay, that it's just your opinion. And some people are angry themselves and they just want to
Yeah.
lash out and like it's their own pain that they're projecting onto you. So that is the whole thing. And so at this point for me personally, it's like, well, either it's not to their taste, which is fine,
Hmm.
or they are hurting inside, and
Yeah.
that's
It's almost
something that
like a
they
reflection of them always.
exactly, and then they
Yeah.
have to deal with it. So for me now, like, there's nothing anybody could say really that would hurt me. But it's like, there are people that are thinking about performing or recording music
Hmm.
and releasing it, and they might be afraid of the negativity. And yeah, like I don't want to say, the reality is that it will happen at some point. So
Yeah.
be
Well.
prepared for it. But you will become resilient to that and realize over time that it's not nice, but it's at the end of the day, it's just words, and they can't hurt you.
Hmm.
Okay, so you've released an EP and a couple of singles. How
Yes.
how was the recording process? Did you are there hidden recordings that have been, you know, hidden away because those were your first forays, or
You mean
the
like a
is
vault?
yeah, or is the
Yeah.
EP like your first time that you recorded and boom, it was perfect and you put it out?
Um, do you mean like the stuff that I have out from like years ago?
Yeah, like
Because I
on
I
what
haven't deleted like the old stuff really.
because you've got stuff on Spotify, but is there maybe or maybe you've got stuff on SoundCloud or other places still?
I do have stuff on SoundCloud, but I
So
think most of it is private, so it's technically
okay.
a vault. Yeah.
But so the first like the first recordings basically
Yeah.
you're happy for that just to keep existing or do you want to get rid of it at some point or
I think at some point I would like to get rid of it.
okay.
Yeah, because
Uh,
like they just like don't show my songwriting in the sense of like what my songs sound now, but I guess that's also growth.
yeah. But is the in terms of the actual recordings the quality of the recordings were you happy with them
Um,
or the production style, does that still fit what you were doing? Basically, I'm interested to hear if there was kind of a process of um, improving until you were happy with the quality. So for example,
hmm,
in my case, I went into the studio a couple of times and recorded some music,
yeah,
and through that process, I learned how to do that, how to record music in the studio, and those songs at the time it was fine, but then I reached a certain level where like, okay, from now on the bar is set
yeah,
here and everything else, that was me just learning how to do this. So the bar had reached a certain level.
yeah,
From now on, it's moving forward. Everything is like official Cornelis releases,
hmm,
and before that was kind of unofficial, still finding my feet. And a lot of artists, they had that first EP or the first album that
they
they
do.
released that they then hide away because, like, okay, it's not quite. I'm wondering, did you have that kind of process? It sounds like yes.
I did have that process because I was in country dream pop back then. Like maybe in my head I was, and I was like, yeah, I want to get there. But it was not defined. Like my sound was not defined, my artistry was not defined, my songwriting wasn't defined at anything like it is
Mm,
now, I guess.
yeah,
No. So yeah,
and
I think I was thinking about that, yes. But have I deleted that stuff? No.
okay, okay.
So people still can hear it, but I think at some point I might take that one down. Yeah,
Right, right, right.
pretty much.
And how was it? How did you kind of? Was it a situation where you recorded it, put it up, and at the time you were happy, or maybe did it take a little while for you to then look back and go, actually, that's not the real Shell yet. That's not the final form of Shell.
Yeah, I think it's like every time you make music, right? You make music for in the moment, how you feel, and then you're happy with it. But then you grow. Like as soon as the song is done, you grow, and then you do another song and you grow. And like with every song that produce, technically,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Um, like after that you grow because that is like an old version of you almost.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, the way that some people talk about it is that the recording is a snapshot, like it's a photo
Yeah.
of what you were doing in time. And yeah, so that's how I approach it. But
Mm,
there's definitely some old snapshots that I think, okay, I don't want anyone to see those because
yeah.
it wasn't the final Cornelis. And now and but now it's going to now it is at the stage that in however many years,
Hmm.
I will look back at the earlier stuff and be like, oh, there's things wrong with that. But it's not going to be stuff that I'm going to delete ever. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that captured that time and that's great. And that's part of the official canon
Hmm.
or the official scrapbook or photo album, whatever analogy you want to make.
Hmm.
So yeah, you mentioned producer because I think when you're an independent artist, you're doing it all yourself, and you might not even think of what these terms mean. Because somebody
Hmm.
asked me, "Oh, did you produce this yourself?" I'm like, I think what does a producer do?
I think it's more like we give creative direction, don't we? Like as an
Yeah, yeah.
artist, like we know exactly where we want to go, and if it's not going that way, it's like, nah, I'm not
Which
gonna put it out. Like
that is
it's
a
not
that is
working.
yeah, and apparently that's what a producer does, right?
So we technically are, but we have our helpers, I guess.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah,
people who make it work for our visions.
yeah. I think the those divisions are blurred, and I think when you're an independent
Yeah.
artist, then yeah, because what will happen often is the people I don't I'll hear from your story in a moment, but for me, m most of the time, the people that I've worked with
Hmm.
are it's one person that's a recording engineer slash mixer slash mastering engineer slash
Slash
producer.
producer. Yeah.
So the people they do the whole thing. Whereas
Okay.
back in the day, or maybe even nowadays, if you're working with a big studio, you have
Hmm.
a record producer, you have a recording engineer who's doing the mic placements, you have somebody that mixes, you have somebody that masters. So you have all these different people. And so the kind of people that we tend to work with
Hmm.
is like one person. Is that how it was for you for the recordings that you made?
Yeah, to be honest, I work with one person on like these songs, pretty much.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and in those cases, yes, then we take on a producer role. So
Hmm.
we make decisions about, okay, do I well, it could be like a general vibe type of
Hmm.
thing. Well, my genre, as you said, is country and or country slash dream
Dream
pop.
pop. Yeah.
So that's kind of the lane that you're going in. So when you say that, then the recording engineer, producer guy or girl will then know, okay, I'm not going to have double click kick drums on this
Hmm.
song, and I'm not going to have like high gain guitar solos on it. So, that helps direct their
Yeah.
attention. But then it can get more narrow where often they might ask you, okay, uh, what's an example of a guitar sound that you like? And then you might have some
Hmm.
specific examples. Is that how it's
Yeah,
worked
pretty
for you?
much. Pretty much. Yeah.
And are you so for me, for example, although I know a little bit about the technical side of things, I'm not an expert, so I don't necessarily say, okay, I want this kind of kick drum and I want this snare sound and I like this reverb. I'm not really that
Hmm.
kind of person. So I can point to certain albums or songs and say, oh yeah, I like
Hmm.
the vibe of this one or like the drum sound on that. Is that how it goes for you?
Um, I think I'm like half half. Like I am the one where I'm like I have a certain song in my head when I do a recording. I'll be like, I want it to sound like this, I want it to sound like that. But then you also have like your preference, I guess, like how you would sing when you sing live. Like, I don't know, at least it's for me like that. I'm like, I need some reverb, like drown me in some reverb,
Right?
drown me in some echo. Like that's just like how I like it sounds,
Hmm.
like how I like it to sound. And then obviously you have some kind of like division. Like you don't just want to do what you always done before. You want to add something new, or you want to be like, yeah, but I want the pedal steel on it, I want the banjo on it,
Yeah.
just to make it a bit more yourself.
And especially because you're melding the genre of country with dream
Yeah,
pop. So there's some aspects of dream pop
yeah.
that, if you went to a producer and said, a producer, recording engineer, that person, if you go
Hmm.
to say, oh, I want to sound, I'm a big fan of country music,
Hmm.
then they're going to think in one lane. And so you as an artist then have to come in and say, but by the way, I'm also into this other stuff and I want to
Hmm.
bring that influence in as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it
And
needs to be like both.
y-
Otherwise, yeah.
yeah, and I think so for me personally, I like to have those conversations with the people that I'm working with, but I sometimes will stand back a little bit
Hmm.
because for me personally, I if I say I really like this artist or this song, then because nowadays with how we work, it's really easy to load up a preset or something. It's like, oh, you
Hmm.
like that Beatles drum sound? Well, I've got the official Abbey Road drum sound, like,
Mhm.
and I don't necessarily want to do it that close,
Yeah.
so I will kind of talk around things in a way that I kind of
Hmm.
like, oh yeah, I kind of like late 70s post-punk music, but I don't I'm not, if if I don't want to be too specific sometimes because I don't want
Hmm.
to them to like just oh load up that preset or load up this
Oh,
thingy. So
yeah, I see what you mean. You don't just want to be like a complete copy of that artist that was there before,
yeah, because
which
it's
was
so
new
it's
in the case. You want to be some kind of original and unique.
yeah, because
Yeah,
it's
I
so
agree
easy
with
to
that.
do nowadays. Whereas, like before people were recording digitally, if you
Hmm.
said, "Oh, I really like XYZ artist, I want to sound like them," then they would do their best with the microphones and the equipment they had, and
Yeah.
it would get kind of like that, but it wouldn't be exact. It would be similar-ish. And that's where
Hmm.
people's own sounds came from. It was like, well, we really like this, and we tried to be something like that, mixed in with our own influence, and now it's this whole new thing. Whereas, like I
Hmm.
said earlier, nowadays, yeah, literally, oh, I want the Abbey Road drum sound. Boom, you've got it, right? So that's
Yeah.
why I personally I kind of talk around it sometimes. And I will tell. I say to the people that I'm working with, the reason why am sometimes a bit vague about it is
Hmm.
because of exactly that reason. So I'm upfront about it so that they know that I'm doing that. And
Hmm.
it's only if things really start going in a area that I don't want, then
Yeah.
will be a bit more
You'd
specific.
be like, no,
Yeah, like
that's too
that's
far.
too much
Yeah.
reverb or that drum sound is too rock, it's too metal. I want a bit more indie rock sound.
Yeah.
Yeah. And do you have other people playing instruments as well, or do you do all the instruments yourself?
I have had like on the tracks that I've worked previously. I've had my good friend Paul who played the pedal steel on all of my tracks, which I'm like a massive fan. Like I love pedal steel. It's probably like I don't know, like for the longest time banjo was my favorite instrument, but I think like pedal steel is even more my favorite. Like it's
Okay,
banjo and pedal steel, which I'm like I can't live without them.
right.
Like it just makes the song, country, like just the right amount of country, but not like too country.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
do you give people free rein in terms of what they're playing, or do you direct them in terms of do you give examples of melodies, or do you hum melodies to them, or how does that work?
Um, like previously I've before like just sent him, for example, tracks and he just played over them and he was like, I am loving this track, and he just played and I was like, wow, I could have not imagined like the way he played it. Like he just picked it up and
Hmm.
it was like he just made it so so sweet. And whereas before it was all right.
Hmm. Hmm. But
Um, but
and
yeah, there has been moments where I was like, can you try that again? Can you do it like differently? Can you try like instead of like going with the sound and making it sad, can you make it like upbeat so it's like a
okay,
bit different? So yeah, I'd say both.
okay. Yeah, yeah, that's interesting. I um I I try to give in the same way working with the
Hmm.
producer, the engineers, I will initially give people a bit of free rein because I
Yeah.
don't know what they might come up with something better than I could have come up with. And
Yeah.
it's only if I'm thinking like you, if it's not quite what I want, then
Hmm.
start being a bit more specific. So I think we're similar in that regards, and I think like if somebody were to ask me, I focus on getting the right person first
Mm-hmm.
rather than somebody that will follow exactly my instructions. So it's
Yeah.
more about the person. They will have a minimum level of skill, but I'm looking for somebody whose taste and choices I like so that I can
Mm.
trust them to be part of the process.
But it's funny when you say like the taste and the style, because isn't that also like what we kind of look for when we're looking for a producer?
Yeah,
Because I've recently had that thought as well, and I was like, technically, technically, you're just getting a producer, paying them
yeah,
for helping you to find the right sound by just having the right taste and style, basically, like the right taste in music that aligns with your vision with your
Yeah.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or something that you think would be good to almost filter your stuff through.
Yeah.
So I don't. I'm always thinking of weird analogies. Imagine you've got a sieve.
Yeah.
Sieve is the producer or the producer,
Yeah.
recording or engineer, and you have a bag of sand. I don't know,
Songs.
songs, and you pour it through, and like it comes out different on the other side.
Yeah, it
That's the way I
does.
think about it, right? And
It
so
does.
the guy that I work with, he so I was working on this hip hop influence track,
Mm-hmm.
and I found a pop producer on Gumtree or something like that, and I recorded vocals with him and he mixed it,
Yeah.
and it was good. He was very professional. He was like very high level, but the production came out very like a pop song.
Mm-hmm.
And then later, my friend had gotten in touch with me, said, "Oh, have you got any music that you would like to have mixed?" And I thought, you know what? He comes more from a rock music background, so all the
Mm-hmm.
different he does pop and indie and all kinds of stuff, but he's very familiar with recording live bands and
Mm.
that kind of stuff. So I thought, okay, I've got some music that isn't that genre at all, but I'm really interested to see what happens when I filter that through you,
Yeah.
right? And it came out really great. It's like, right, this is great. So that's I gave him these other tracks, which I then
Mm-hmm.
wrote, which on the in terms of the elements is
Mm-hmm.
very pop or hip hop because it's programmed drum beat and synth keys and vocals and on some songs there's a bit of guitar and others there's not. So it's the elements are hip hop or pop,
Mm.
but they yeah, when I gave it to a pop producer, it's like, oh, it doesn't really feel right for
Mm.
me. But I filtered it through somebody that has different tastes about, okay, what am I going to do
Yeah.
with the vocals and how am I going to mix these drum beats? And it came out the way that I wanted it. So that
Mm.
is, that's a consideration to make. Now, I know for people that are starting out, it's not. You'd be very lucky if the very first time
Yeah.
you find the right person and it's like, wow, this is exactly how I envisioned it. That would be very lucky. So to anybody that's watching, uh, a lot of people, it won't be the first time. You
Yeah.
will work with different people until you find the person that aligns with what you want. And that happens with major labels as well, right? If when they sign an artist,
Mm-hmm.
they get them to work with different producers, different songwriters, and they make all kinds of music until they find something that, okay, this producer and this artist, they work, and this
Mm.
songwriter, that's the magic that works together. So that's the way it happens. And so for people out there that are doing it themselves,
Mm.
I know it could cost money, but there's ways to find people that are learning themselves, that are looking for artists to work with, so there are, or people that are at music college that need to
Mm.
record artists for their projects. So there are ways to like keep those costs down, but it's one of those things where you think that you're trying to avoid spending money and you don't
Mm-hmm.
want to waste money, but unfortunately it's not, don't see it as a waste. I don't get me wrong, I feel at the time it feels like a waste of time and money. You're like, oh,
Yeah.
I spent all this time
But it
recording
helps.
this.
It helps you
It's,
learn,
it's
doesn't
you
it?
have to learn, it's part of it. It's
Like
like
you need to invest that money just to get somewhere and to
it's
learn and like to find your style almost
Yeah,
as well.
exactly. That's the exact right word, investment. It's part of you're going to put whether
Mm.
it's an investment of time or money or effort, there's going to be that investment in the beginning to like find out what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And so it's better to know that up front
Mm.
so that you anticipate. It's same with what we were saying earlier about the negative comments.
Yeah.
Know about it upfront. It's gonna happen. So prepare for it and know that you will go past that. And the same with recording. Know that the first couple of recordings, yeah,
They're
the
not
first,
gonna sound so perfect or
yeah,
so clean or like the
yeah.
radio stuff that you hear from whatever, like whoever artist you look up to. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And and then that's not to say that you should wait until you've got the absolute most perfect recording
Mm.
ever, because
No,
that might never happen. You might
that's true.
always have like this feeling like, okay, this is 95% as good as I can imagine. But then in reality, nobody ever will reach 100. Even your favorite artist comes
Yeah.
out of recorded your favorite album ever, and in the back of their mind, they're like, maybe that song I could have sung that line a bit better, or that guitar
Mm.
part I could have
It's hard to imagine though, you know,
from
when you think
as
of
a
like a big
fan.
person, for example, like Taylor Swift, I would never expect her to be like, nah, there's been lines in the song I wouldn't. But I guess even those have those moments.
Yeah, I don't know. As a fan, I think it's hard to imagine.
Mm.
And but who knows? Maybe there are perfectionists out there. Maybe Taylor Swift, because she seems to
To
be
be to be to be honest, she is, I
she
think.
seems like a perfectionist. So and the way that she re-recorded
Yeah.
those albums, because
They
I've
sounded
listened,
pretty similar.
yeah, because I've
So,
listened to them. And I'm like, okay, I was like, so maybe there are a couple of exceptions, and maybe that's what you need to be in order to be Taylor Swift, Prince,
but
Michael
but then
Jackson.
again, when you think of like the re-recordings that Taylor Swift did, have you ever considered like if you would have to reimagine your songs that you've done in the past, you would probably do the same because they come out of your head, out of your creative idea, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So
And
maybe it's not really perfectionism, maybe it's just because she's the one who created them originally
yeah,
and
true,
not the producer or the label.
true. And also, and I don't want to diminish the effort that it took to do
Mm,
that, but because she does have this whole company around her now, I wonder if she could just say, look, session musicians, re-record it,
mm,
and next week I'll come by and spend a couple of days recording all the vocals.
yeah.
Because d does she really need to be there for the recording of the guitars again? No, because like
I,
so
I'd
may
say she would have to,
do you
no?
think?
Well, I mean, yes, you can give them a song, but they might not replay it just like 100% like how she originally did it because she was in the room when they were
Well, yeah, I
learning.
mean her parts
And
definitely, but for example, the drummer, does she have to come and say, right, drummer,
maybe
record the
not.
drums the same way you
Mm,
did it on that? So I think there's some time saving that happened there, but like, but still, you know what? But I think the hardest part of that
yeah,
is actually um this is what I imagine. I don't know if it's true, but I imagine
yeah,
the hardest part of re-recording music is to get into the same emotional headspace again. I think that's the
yeah. Oh
hardest thing. And I
gosh.
can't when I heard that she was doing that, that's the thing that I thought about. It's like, wow, you're gonna have to try and get back into the headspace of those songs and re-sing them. I
But it's
did,
like you would have to get into like the things that were going on around you at the same time, and like
yeah.
you have to be like your younger self. That's kind of
Yeah.
crazy,
That's
no?
that's the that's the thing that I thought, wow, that's hard. That's what impressed me about it. Because I was like, because I started thinking, well, like you could get the studio musicians, they can do all
Mm,
the drums and and then you can show up. But then it's like, okay, I'm gonna have to like, yeah. So that's what impressed me about that. But to bring it to kind of like, the practical thing of us as independent musicians
mm,
is the how important it is to go through that process where it's not
yeah.
all going to be perfect, and you'll think, next time I want to do it slightly differently. So that's going to happen, and that's all going to be t investment, time, money, effort, as we said.
Mm,
And the other aspect I think is like the preparation, um, that that will help. So I don't
mm.
know how it's been for you, but tell me. when you come go to the studio, the song is
Yeah.
there, right? The chords and the melody and the lyrics are all there before you start
Yeah.
recording.
Yeah, pretty much.
And have you had a situation where I think you said like there was a situation where it changed from what you thought it would be to how it ended up?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's like there has been one song where I was like, yeah, that was one of the songs. I had an original idea that was on the guitar, and it was different, and it was I thought it was just gonna be a like very easy peasy song, right? And then I took it to my friend's house, and he played it on piano. And basically that gave it like a whole new feel, and I had like this piece of piano where I was like I couldn't stop listening to the way he played that,
Mm,
because something that he picked up in my song and then turned it into like this melody where I was like I can't stop about this melody. Like I went traveled, and then while I was traveling I kept listening to that little piece of piano recording, and I was like I need to do something with it. Like I was itching. I was itching to do and go to the studio and do that,
right.
because there was something in that song that I didn't, I guess. Um, but yeah, and then I took it to the studio, and even the producer in the studio was like, "Oh my God, yeah!" And like
So
from then on,
did that turn into a whole new song, or did the original song just like change its shape and character?
well, I mean, like I took the piano to the producer, and he kind of like then kind of built the song around me, kind of. Like he built the production for me because he listened and he kind of knew what I like and
Okay.
what I don't. Because at this point we've worked on like quite a few songs together.
Yeah.
So, but the magic I think that happened in the song was like from a songwriting aspect, I didn't know what I would write this song about because it turned into like this whole new song, this
Hmm.
whole thing that I haven't even explored that much yet. And then I kind of went home and tried writing the lyrics for the song in the studio, and then had to take it home because I just couldn't finish it like in one session. Like it was
Hmm.
just too much to write. And then I kind of, I don't know, I just went me and I went down the rabbit hole, and I had to like go through all kinds of words and lyrics and things. And anyway, it turned out that yeah, it was a bit deeper than I thought it was.
Hmm. Well,
Um,
sorry, by the way, how did you meet this producer? Did you find them online or was it through a
no,
friend or?
I got him. I worked on a song with a girl before, and she produced Spark that night. And she basically introduced me to him. So
Okay.
that was kind of like from one person to the other, just be
R-
like, here, how
Right.
about that one? Because that one was a bit more country than her. So yeah, that helped.
Okay, so a bit of networking there.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And yeah, what you talked about, it shows the importance of like you've built up a good relationship with that person over
Mm,
time, and they learn your taste, which
yeah.
which I'm in a situation now as well where yeah, I have a lot of trust in them, and
Mm,
they can do a lot for me, which is great. There's on my hip hop influenced EP,
mm,
there's a track which the first tracks I did absolutely everything, every instrument, every drum,
mm,
and then he mixed it and everything. But then there's one at the very end. This is the last song, which I just recorded the vocals and the guitar.
mm-hmm,
And then while I was there, I had an idea for a little drum beat, and he did
mm,
the drum beat while I was there. But then afterwards, he did some like um a little bit of synth or and like backing vocal.
mm,
Like he would take my voice and use it for backing vocals and this like little xylophone sound. So in that case, he did all the bells and whistles that I would normally do.
yeah.
But because by after 5 songs, he knew what I was going
Yeah.
for, he like was
Yeah.
able to do
They
all of
kind
that.
of could tell at this point, right?
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
was really cool. And I didn't I might not I wouldn't necessarily do that for every song because for me like I love the ownership over a
Mm,
lot of it. Like I wrote this and da 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 da. So I might not do that in every case,
mm,
but in this case it was like, oh wow, this sounds really cool, that like little xylophone in the background. I would never have thought
yeah,
of that. That was a great idea. So that was really cool. And I think that shows the benefit of like trying different people, working with different people, and then
definitely.
when you find somebody that you click with, you can develop a relationship and
Mm,
learn how what each other really likes.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so the last thing I'd like to ask you, sorry, okay, so the last thing I'd like to ask you about is your music video that you made, and it would be really interesting to hear about that process. So, how did it all start? Did you have an idea? Did you know somebody that could make videos? How did it start?
Yeah, the music video I did a couple years back was actually two of my friends, or one of my friends, and then yeah, one of my friends, Luke, and his friend Ryan, and they basically they asked me if they could do my music video, and I was looking for someone to do my music video anyways at the time.
Hmm.
Because I was just like, I want to do a music video, but I didn't know where to go, and like I spoke to a lot of people, but yeah, I was like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna spend that much money, to be
Hmm.
honest,
Yeah, yeah,
on a high end music video, and then it's just like not kind of my taste,
yeah, yeah.
because it was usually people who do like hip hop videos or like very like pop videos, and I'm just like, that's just not me.
Hmm.
But yeah, so Luke and Ryan basically were looking for like for some like portfolio to build up their portfolio and get more into like directing videos. Um so yeah, that's kind of how it came to be,
Hmm.
because my good friend Luke, he's like a gaffer. He works on like a lot of music videos and he knows a lot of people.
Yeah.
And so he introduced me to Ryan, and then we started talking, and that's kind of how the music video came about. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, I think you know, I don't really see the value of spending a lot of money on a music
Mm,
video, especially when you're starting out. I
yeah, I
did look
agree.
into it, and it I tried it twice, and both times it just didn't end up happening because the person that I thought was interested in doing it turned out not to
Mm,
be so interested in doing it. And I just kind of lost the motivation to do it.
mm,
But I think if you are going to do it, then the way that I think, like you did, is to find people that are that maybe they're studying for film or they, yeah, like you said, they
mm,
want to build a portfolio, something like that, where there's a bit of mutual benefit. Like
yeah,
they get to practice doing it, they get something for the portfolio. You will share it with all your friends and fans, so there's some help, some mutual benefit there. And I know there's like creative people, we are often asked to do things for free and for exposure, and that's not
yeah,
always nice. But there are people out there that are on your level, as it were, right?
mm,
They're also starting out, and to be honest, I think it is something that I take inspiration from is there's some artists in the hip hop world that are part
yeah,
of creative um creative what do you say it collectives where there's people that are doing video and graphic design and they're all helping each other to
mm,
build each other up and that is a nice thing if you can find that. So if you have the possibility, it seems like a good idea to network, be other people ask for recommendations, stuff like that, and find people that are looking for that kind of thing, and then maybe you can get it for free or very cheap. And I think that's probably the way to go, especially when you're starting out and your money is better spent, elsewhere, recording music, for
yeah.
example.
Like probably like the recording, to be honest.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better to have like a good recording and a lesser music video than have a good music video and lesser
Yeah.
production, like on the
And I
song.
think a
Yeah.
lot of people, the types of people that will be your first fans
Mm,
have a lot of understanding for that, and I think
yeah.
they prefer that, like to see that the artist or band is doing their own thing, and it had and personally, like some of my favorite music videos are the early ones of the artist.
Mm,
They're low budget, but they have that charm and that realness that I personally really enjoy. So I think other people, the people that are very likely to want to be
mm,
that become a fan of an artist that is just starting out will have that understanding and they'll enjoy that more
yeah.
raw side. When it came to like the uh did you have an idea for the video? Did you write a script with like, okay, we're gonna have this shot and this shot, or did you leave that up to your friends? How did that work out?
I mean, I had like a vision for the video. Like I came into this and I was like, I have a vision. But obviously, like I have never done a music video, so I was like, I didn't even know how to go on about things and like
Mm-hmm.
how the steps are to get to the music video. So it was actually quite good help to have like Luke and Ryan there, especially Ryan because he was like big time the director.
Yeah,
Um and he was like saying like, oh yeah, let's script like, make the pictures, draw in how each of the shots will be so that we get like a, I guess like a general idea, like a
yeah,
draft
a
for the video.
storyboard, right?
Yeah, storyboard. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, cool. That's I think. Oh, I think the lesson that you take from doing the
Mm,
video, which is the same as from the recording, same as from social media, same as from
yeah.
performing live, is that if you want to do that, you need to push yourself to get over that line
Mm-hmm.
of doing it and understand and accept that there's going to be things that you do wrong or you like
Yeah.
roadblocks that you didn't
Changes.
expect, changes,
Yeah.
and as long and to expect that and to understand that the goal, as it were, is to get to the other side and
Yeah.
have all the learning afterwards. Because now, so you might say, this video was a couple of years old, but you might not necessarily want to do a video right now, but maybe in the
Yeah.
future, if you do, you will know, okay, we need a storyboard and we need,
Yeah.
locations and we need to think about the time of day and who's going to be involved and all that kind of stuff. So you have all those experiences now, and it's as I said at the beginning of our chat, the reason why I find it interesting to talk to you about all this kind of stuff and to share it with people is because a lot of people, they don't start because in their mind there's all these things that could
Mm-hmm.
go wrong, or and they
Yeah.
so they don't even start. And so the important thing is to start and finish and put something out so that you
That's true.
understand, okay, oh, that's what it's like to put. I recently saw a video of a YouTuber, a guitar player, and he's
Mm-hmm.
a big YouTuber in the guitar space. He's got hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and he gets millions of views on his thing, on his videos. And he's a guitar YouTuber, and he does reviews of guitars and
Mm-hmm.
amps, and he plays in bands as a guitar player, but he's never released his own music as an artist himself until
Mm-hmm.
recently, and he did it for the first time. Um, and he was saying how he didn't know anything. He didn't know about picking a distributor like DistroKid or
Mm-hmm.
TuneCore or whatever. He didn't know about that. He didn't know about, all the things when you upload the song, you have to all the forms that you have to fill out, and so that whole process was alien to him, and because he didn't know about it, because there was this fog of
Yeah.
uncertainty, it was always in the back of his mind. It was holding him back. So he always had an excuse for why he wasn't putting out his own music. And when he
Yeah.
finally committed to it, he like got through to the other side, and it's like, that's how it works. And like, and then he's like, okay, I
Mm.
can do that again now, and I can do it better because I know all the things that will happen. And then, every time that you do it, there's going to be more things that go wrong and go right.
Mm.
And you're going to have,
Probably more better the more you
yeah,
do it. You figure out like what works and what doesn't. And then, yeah, you just like incorporate new things or try new things,
yeah,
but also like definitely stick to like the things that worked last time. So why not?
yeah.
Mm.
And from what I've seen that you've done, like it seems like every step of the way you set yourself, maybe you didn't formulate it as goals, but it's from the outside,
Mm.
I look at you, it seems like every step of the way you set yourself achievable goals. And like you didn't say, right, I'm gonna release a 12 song album and make three music videos, and then I'm gonna perform at the at some your
Yeah.
favorite venue. You like set yourself kind of achievable goals, like, okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
do an EP, which was 5 or 6 songs, I think,
Yeah.
if I'm right. And then and you did some singles, and when you were performing, okay, I'm gonna perform at an open mic, and then you graduate. You've done gigs as well.
Mm.
So like whether consciously or not, you've like set yourself like achievable goals, which is like I think really important. And earlier today I was on a forum, and somebody posted, "Oh, we are going into the studio for the first time as a band. Do you
Mm.
have any tips for us?" And then in the actual post, they said, "Oh, by the way, yeah, we're a rock band, and we've got one day in the studio, and we're going to record 5 songs." And
Whoa.
everyone in the comments
That's
is
a
like,
lot.
"It's not going to happen." Everyone in the
You maybe
comments,
like do one
yeah,
song.
exactly. Everyone in the comments is like, "No, like you need to like." So,
Just
like,
slow it down.
yeah, because it could easily take a week, like 5
Yeah.
working days to do
Yeah.
5 songs, right? So everyone in the
Mm.
comments, but you don't know that. Like, and that it was good that they asked people for
Mm.
advice. Um, but a lot that that happens. A lot of people they right, we're gonna record our album in like it's like no, and but you don't know that until either somebody tells you and you listen to them or you experience it yourself.
Mm.
So that that was a bit of too lofty goal for them, and not that they couldn't have recorded an EP, but it was going to take longer than a day, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's it's good to to have set yourself small achievable goals. Don't get me wrong, that I know people that their first they put out an album, boom. Um,
Mm.
but that is you need a lot of mental stamina and fortitude to
Mm.
be able to get through all of that. And it's not uncommon. I've seen it happen many times that a band or artist spent like a year or 2 years working on an
Mm.
album, and then they broke up after like literally the week after it came out because they put so much mental energy and effort into this thing.
Yeah.
They barely kept it together to get over the finish line, which is great and admirable, but then they just fell apart afterwards because it took everything out of them to do that.
Mm.
And so it's rare, especially as if you're an independent artist or independent band. It's rare for that to succeed. So I personally, I've always been the singles person
Mm.
because that doesn't mean I've recorded in batches. So I have recorded like 5, 6 songs at a time
Mm.
across a week or two.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to releasing, and we like, okay, let's mix this song and then release it, and then mix another song and release it. That's I'm mentally and energetically able to achieve that. And if and then maybe in the future I might have the time and resources
Mm.
to do pre-production and try out different things, and let's try this amp and this one and all that kind of thing. But I'm not, because the likes of you and I are doing it ourselves. We have to take that into account. It's not just the money but our time and our
Yeah.
energy. And we don't
Yeah, it's
have
true.
somebody that's behind us making sure that we're doing the work and that we have. tea ready, here's a cup of
Yeah,
tea.
it's
Like
like
no
you don't have
nobody's
the whole team who's like looking after the artist.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Well, I mean, you've released a bunch of music, a music video, you're doing open mics, but you're also doing the occasional gig.
Hmm.
So, you're chipping away at it, you're working away at it, doing the social media as well. What are your what are you working on at the moment? What are your plans for the future? What's going on with you?
Um, yeah, I still have a lot of songs I haven't even released yet, but I think at some point soon I'm gonna just put them out, I think. Because
So,
firstly, I put them out. Secondly, I'm also working on another EP now.
okay, so
Soon,
there's
not
music,
yet.
so there's music that's been recorded and mixed
Yeah.
and everything that's ready,
Yeah.
but that you
I'm
haven't put
also
out yet.
working on something newer now,
And
which
now you're
is,
working
I
on the
guess,
next thing as well. Okay, that's
yeah,
interesting. So it's just a matter of if you deciding when to put stuff out and
yeah,
how you want to promote it and all of that. But it's ready to go, and then working on
yeah,
the next
pretty
stuff.
much,
And when
pretty
it
much.
comes to the new music, is it's gonna be more of the same? Or is there an evolution, or are you gonna see what happens?
To be honest, I mean, we haven't recorded yet. Like the recording is gonna be soon, and it's gonna be different. It's gonna be like for me personally, like I've never recorded more than one song a day.
Yeah,
So, and this is gonna be like a whole week of recording. So I'm very excited for that.
great.
Um,
Yeah, I mean that's
but
exactly what we
yeah,
were talking about, right? You have the
yeah,
experience, so it's not going to be it's going to be exciting and it will be
yeah.
challenging and you'll be working in a way that is different. So there'll be more room and time for
Hmm.
creativity, but you have
But
the
it's
experience of doing like, okay, I've done it in small batches. Now I can
yeah,
like do it as in a bigger way. So that's
yeah.
exciting.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's also gonna involve like a whole band. So which is like it's not gonna be just me and one person doing everything and like just, the brain doing all the math.
Yeah.
Um, but it's gonna be like a band who's gonna be good professional musicians who gonna jump in and be like, wait, I can do that. And yeah, I think it's just gonna be like a whole different chemistry and like creating songs this time around,
Wow.
which is what I'm like more excited about.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic. Uh, I would love if it doesn't distract you
Yeah.
and you have time for it, I would love for you to shoot a little bit of behind the scenes footage
Yeah, definitely we will.
because, well, first of all, I'm interested, but that's great social media content. People
Mm,
would absolutely love that. And even if it's just a vlog where at the start of the day, you tell people, okay, this is the first day of
mm,
recording, and because I know you don't want to distract yourself from actually making the
yeah.
music. But even if it's just a little vlog about, the start of the day and the end of the day, and then maybe, when the drummer is warming up, take a little bit of footage or
Mm,
so, anything like that, I think is really interesting for people to like learn like get an insight into the artistry and the people behind the music. So I would love to see that. But yeah, make sure that you keep your concentration on the music,
I
obviously.
will. I
Yeah.
will, yeah. And then yeah, sound wise, it's definitely gonna be a bit more, I'd say maybe a bit more dream pop, but it's still gonna be country dream pop because that's just me.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm still trying to establish the country dream pop. So yeah, it's
Mm. Cool. That sounds really exciting. Well, I'm sure it's going to be a while yet before it comes out.
gonna be a while, yeah.
But it's good that you're getting ahead of yourself. You've got music in the bank, and then you're gonna add more to it,
Mm,
and it frees up so much time and energy for other things. So,
that's true.
that's great. Okay, well, thanks so much for speaking to me, Shell. I'm going to leave links to all
Thank
your
you so
social
much for having
media
me.
and music in the description so people can check it out. And yeah, if you're in London, then follow, well, if anywhere in the world, follow Shell, obviously, but you can see her performing at open mics and sometimes gigs around
Yeah.
London. So like if you're in the
Honestly,
area, then
honestly, if you're ever around, like come to the North 19 open mic because I'm usually there,
North
right?
19
We're
in
usually there.
Archway. Yeah, exactly. North 19 in Archway every Tuesday. There's an open
Yeah,
mic.
every
It's
Tuesday.
very high
It's actually
quality.
Finsbury Park. Finsbury Park.
So, well, it depends where yeah. You can come from Finsbury Park or from Archway.
True. It's both ways.
Is Finsbury closer, technically? I don't know.
Technically, maybe, yeah, a
Hmm.
little bit.
Anyway, N19, North 19,
Pub.
Sussex Way, every Tuesday. You
That's,
can find myself often and Shell as well.
yep.
Okay, thank you so much
Thank you.
for watching, everybody, and yeah, let us know in the comments what you're doing with your music, your independent music, and if and let us know what you thought about Shell's experiences and what you've learned from it. Thank you so much. I'll speak to you guys next time.